This man is held captive on a train and is compelled to identify someone who isn't supposed to be there, or else his family will be killed. For $100K he has to find Prin. The movie begins with Michael Muckaly, a former NYPD officer turned insurance agent, suddenly finds himself fired from his job. His wife, Karen, calls to inform him about taking out their third mortgage to cover their son's college tuition. Michael keeps his job loss a secret from her as he doesn't want to make things worse than they already are. Instead, he confides in his ex-partner, Alex Murphy, who is still on the police force, during a drink time together. While they're at the bar, a group of men enters, including Captain David Hawthorne, whom Murphy seems to dislike. Hawthorne approaches Michael to talk to him, making Murphy uncomfortable, so he leaves. After Murphy leaves, he advises Michael to be honest with his wife about losing his job and to ask for help. As Michael tries to board the train home, his phone gets stolen, and he couldn't find he stole it as the train appears to be overcrowded. He meets Walt, a fellow commuter, who informs him about a woman who has been observing and staring at him all this while. Uncomfortable, Michael searches for a less crowded coach and encounters a very loud man in a suit instead. As the train continues moving, the conductor, Jimmy, comes to check their tickets. The man in the suit talks loudly while making a call, which causes a young girl sitting nearby to leave her seat. As Michael watches her go, he happens to glance at a woman by the door, who quickly hides away when she sees him, leaving him confused. Michael then meets a mysterious woman named Joanna, and they strike up a conversation. Joanna proposes a hypothetical situation. She asks him to do something for her for a handsome reward. Michael is unsure about what she's saying and asks her again, so she loudly tells him there's $25,000 in a bathroom, and he'd be paid an extra $75,000, totaling $100,000 if he does as she says. She claims someone on the train doesn't belong here and instructs him to find Prin, an alias of an unknown commuter who supposedly has a stolen item. She warns him not to tell anyone and not to leave the train until he finds the person. Before he begins anything, she mentions Michael's past as a cop and tells him some of the thing he has done, just so he knows that she has a lot of information especially about him, which seems to alert him. Then she leaves, giving him until the next stop to decide. Michael follows the instruction and finds the $25,000 in an air conditioning vent in the bathroom. After this, he approached the conductor Jimmy to get information about a commuter the lady talked about, hoping to get some information to make his task easier, but Jimmy didn't give him any details. Michael tries to leave the train at the next stop with the money. At least he has $25,000, which is a lot of money for the kind of situation he is in now, but before he could try, a young teenager hands him an envelope as a warning that he's being watched. Inside the envelope was his wife's wedding ring. In the train, he borrows a phone from a fellow commuter named Tony to call his wife, but he couldn't reach her. Discreetly, he approaches Walt and borrows his newspaper to write a note asking for help from the police. Michael tries to call his friend Murphy, but the call just reaches his voicemail, so he explained the situation he is in right now through voice note, and asked his friend to please check on his wife. Walt leaves the train, and another person jumps on. Soon, Michael receives a call on that phone from Joanna, who threatens him and his family if he does not do as requested. She reveals that the train has hidden cameras and tells him to look outside, where he witnesses Walt, who he had sent for help, being pushed in front of a bus and killed. Joanna instructs Michael to check the suit guy's jacket, where he finds a GPS tracker to plant on Prin once he identifies who the Prin is. Michael begins searching for commuters as they stop at Cold Spring. He approaches the suit guy, who turns out to be a stockbroker, pretending to be interested in investing. The suit guy rudely dismisses Michael when he gets a call, so Michael leaves, flipping him the finger on his way out. Michael sits with Sherry so he can talk to Gwen, who's headed to Cold Spring too. He tries to talk to her, but she abruptly leaves. He kept following her, and so she used pepper spray on him, asking if he's a cop. He denies being a cop or anything close, and she goes back inside. Michael's plan was to use the conductor to help with his task. He reports some suspicious commuters to Conductor Sam for random security searches. When the conductor tries to search a nurse's bag, she loudly protests, arguing with him. Meanwhile, Michael notices a man quickly leaving the car and follows him, but the man attacks him, demanding to know why he's following him. Michael plants the tracker on him, and people in the car witness them in a scuffle. Murphy calls the phone back, so Tony gives his phone to Michael. Michael explains the situation to Murphy and mentions the name Prin. Murphy tells him that Prin is a key witness in the supposed suicide of city official Enrique Mendez. Michael realizes that Prin is in danger, and that they're trying to frame him. Michael goes in search of the man he planted the tracker on, and people start watching his odd behavior, as he keeps moving around too much, looking suspicious. He finds the man's bag on a seat and takes it. He searches through the bag in a deserted carriage and finds a knife holster. Then he hears a phone ringing and goes in search of it. Michael discovers the man he planted the tracker on, dead person and stuffed under the train. He searches the body and finds a badge revealing the man was an FBI agent. Joanna calls the dead man's phone, blaming Michael for putting the tracker on the wrong person. He asks about his family, and Joanna tells him they were just leaving the house. He hears his wife and son's voices before they are approached by a man. Joanna warns him that another commuter reported his suspicious activities to the police, who stopped the train to investigate. She tells him not to get caught. The police search through the train but don't find Michael, who hides with the corpse underneath the carriage. He tries to open the door he used to enter the space but can't, so he tries passing through the bottom of the train. Just then, the train starts moving again. He manages to hold onto the train but ends up losing the $25,000 in his bag. Joanna calls him, telling him he has just 2 stops remaining to get to Cold Spring and doesn't have much time. He damages the train's air conditioning of the section he is in right now, making the remaining commuters go into the last carriage. There, he joins in a card game with Tony and another guy, Jackson. While playing the game, he asks Jackson why he hadn't seen him on the train before. Michael tells them the story Joanna had told him, though they feel it's just a story. He tells Jackson that there were 5 people who didn't belong there: a guy with a guitar case, the nurse, Gwen, the suit guy, and Jackson. Suddenly, the man with the guitar case walks off. Michael sees a board pass on Jackson, indicating he's a regular commuter on the train. He follows the guitar guy, Oliver, to another carriage, mistaking him for Prin. But Oliver pulls a gun on him, revealing that he got the same instructions for $100,000, with orders to kill Prin once Michael identified him. Michael says he doesn't know who Prin is, and both men began fighting. Michael defeats him and throws Oliver out of a window, killing him. Joanna calls him, asking who Prin is. Michael, who still doesn't know what Prin looks like, tells her it doesn't matter because her guy, Oliver, is dead. She tells him to take Oliver's gun and kill Prin to retrieve the bag in Prin's possession to keep his family safe. He doesn't want to do it, but she threatens him to choose between Prin and his family. The suit guy gets off the train at the next stop, leaving only the nurse from the odd people on the train. So Michael decides to go sit with her. He asks her why she's on the train, but she refuses to tell him. She tries to change seats, but just as before he follows her, other commuters get alarmed by the situation as it was now becoming disturbing. Tony tells Michael to let go of the nurse, but Michael pulls out the gun, drawing attention. He takes the woman's phone but realizes she's not who he's looking for. He remembers the young girl who sat beside the suit guy. He heads to her. She's unaware of what's happening because she has an earpiece on. He realizes she's Prin. Conductor Sam enters the carriage, unaware of the situation. When he realizes something was going on, he informs Manny, the train engineer, who calls the police. Soon, Joanna calls Michael, asking if he's killed Prin, but again he refuses. She warns him that powerful people are involved in this task she has given him, and if he doesn't kill Prin, everyone on the train will die. Michael tells Sam to stop the train. Sam agreed and pulled the emergency brake, but the train didn't stop. FBI agents Garcia and Dennis wait for Prin at the train stop, planning to get her, but unfortunately the train would not stop and rushes past them. Michael, Sam, and Jimmy go to check on Manny, finding him dead. They detach the last carriage since everyone is on the save one. Then Jimmy goes to calm the commuters, telling them everything is alright, but there was another death. It is Sam, and has died. Jackson saves Michael, who almost falls off the train. Weird things began happening. The part of the train with the commuters stops moving and now everyone is desperate to get out to save themselves, but Michael convinces them to stay. Michael instructs the passengers to block the carriage windows with wet newspapers because he doesn't think all the chaos is over yet, with a possibility of them getting attacked or watched. He tells Prin that he was told to kill her or his family would die, but he can't do it, so he needs her help. He asks why people want her dead and for her name, to which she replies her real name is Sophia, not Prin. He asks to see what's in her bag, and she hands over the drive with her. Sophia explains how her cousin Enrique was murdered by police officers because of the drive, which had incriminating information on powerful people. She mentions one of them talked about being noble and doing the right thing, even if it meant getting killed. She tells him she was meeting with Agent Garcia, who is placing her in witness protection. The police arrive at the location where the train is with the assumption that Michael is holding the train hostage because he lost his job. Captain David takes Murphy's gun and sends him to negotiate with Michael since Michael and Murphy were once partners. Michael asks his friend about his family, and Murphy says they're on it. Murphy suggests letting some commuters go, and Michael agrees because he needs to protect someone. Captain David pays attention to this and negotiates for Murphy to go in instead. Some people are allowed to leave. Murphy enters the carriage where Michael is and unknowingly says the same words Sophia heard her cousin's killer say. This reveals that Murphy is the rogue cop who killed Enrique, sparking a fight between Murphy and Michael. Michael accuses Murphy of framing him, knowing he took the same train every day, but Murphy claims he just wanted to help Michael because he needed the money. He manages to collect Michael's gun and points it at everyone, demanding to know who Prin is, as Murphy himself does not know who Prin, or should we say Sophia, is. Sophia stands up, claiming she's Prin. Murphy removes the gun's safety, but then each remaining commuter stands up, claiming to be Prin. Murphy is confused just enough for Michael to struggle and take the gun from him. Michael removes Murphy's electronic ID tag, identifying him as a friendly to police sniper's thermal vision, making Murphy mistaken for Michael. Murphy is about to shoot Sophia when he's shot dead. The FBI storms in, and Sophia tells them that Michael saved her, exonerating him. Agent Garcia assures Michael his family is safe. Later, Tony gives a statement to the police, calling Michael a hero. Michael watches the other commuters. His wife Karen and their son Danny arrive at the scene. He gives his wife her ring back. Karen asks him if what was being said about Murphy was true, but he doesn't answer because he spots Captain David, so he heads over to him. David admits that Murphy and other corrupt officers had been under investigation. He tells Michael that Joanna is being investigated and that he would let him know when they find her. He offers Michael his job back, saying they could use men like him, before he leaves. Michael brings out the incriminating hard drive Sophia gave him. Sometime later, Joanna is on a train back from Chicago when Michael confronts her. She tries to pretend she doesn't know him, but he tells her she played him and Murphy. She asks him what he is going to do about it when he shows her his detective's badge, indicating he was preparing to arrest her. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button and subscribe. I would also appreciate a comment because it helps like you can't even imagine. It's a new channel and every bit of support counts.